It's a good start. Hello. Welcome to the mid-year freakout tag, coming from someone who has the most inconsistent upload schedule in the world. It's not even a schedule. The problem is the video where I talked about why I'm not uploading hasn't been uploaded. What's going to end up happening is I'm going to end up talking about it a lot until I post that video. My cats are playing with boxes. My life is chaos. The short version is I kind of tanked my mental health at the end of last year, just like for funsies, just to see what would happen. It wasn't good. So I struggled to post near the end of the year, early of this year. Like it just, my head wasn't there. Then once I got things back on track, I lost my access to Adobe Premiere, and I'm still kind of figuring out how to get around that. So I haven't had an editing software, and I haven't had ideas, and like work's been kind of crazy. If you can't tell, I sound sick because I'm getting over COVID. Like a lot's just been happening. And despite the fact that I've been reading probably more than I've read in a long time. June was like my best reading month. It's wild. But it's been hard for me to sit down and make content because my heart wasn't in it. And it's coming back, and I I want to do this. As inconsistent as I am, I actually love the booktube community, and I really want to actually be an active part of it. And it's just kind of a matter of finding my groove and then sticking with it. Like two separate tasks. So we're working on it. And in the meantime, we're going to do the mid-year freakout tag a little bit later than other people, probably. Particularly by the time this gets posted. I swear, so many of my videos are just me in pure chaos mode. That is when I get things done. ADHD checking in. If it's not a crisis, I can't handle it, right? It's always procrastinate until the last minute. Okay, so question 1. How is your reading going? Great, shockingly. Well, okay. So my overall rating is a 3.7, which is fantastic because my goal was to have my reading be at like a 3.6 or higher because I want to put down books I'm not enjoying much faster. So that kind of sounds like that's what's happening. I have not had memorable reads this year, despite the higher rating. And I don't know if that is because I am fundamentally not remembering them. Like, is it a me problem? Like, am I just blazing through and forgetting immediately? Where, like, maybe I need to be more intentional with my reading and, like, not, I say not caring about finishing, but like I have it in my head now because I've done it that I can read books at a certain pace. So like, do I need to force myself to slow down? Like, am I forgetting because of my way of reading? Or have I been reading just too much fluff? Like, think the popcorn thrillers that are really fun to read, but they don't have any kind of lasting impact, where I'm like, I had a really good time and I gave this like a 4 or 5 star, but like it doesn't, I don't remember it, you know? And there have been a lot of popcorn thrillers, but that's definitely not all I'm reading. So I feel like it's kind of a mix. I've been enjoying my reading. I've been having fun reading, and those are great. My ratings have been higher, which I love. They're just not memorable. Like when I was filling out my answers for these questions, I was staring at this bookshelf, and I'm like, I could barely tell you which ones of these I read in 2024, which is not good. I mean, I know when I look at them, I'm like, okay, I have a pretty good idea when I read that, but like, it's not where I want my brain to be with my reading. The best book you've read so far in 2024. This question said 2023. It threw me off. I think that's going to have to go to In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle, because what the fuck was that book? It was so emotional and it packed such a punch for such a small book, and I don't own it. My friend lent it to me, was like, oh my God, it's so good. You should read it. You should read it. And then I had it for months and I was like, okay, I'm actually going to go see you now. So I guess I should read these books you lent me. And I blazed through it and was just crying at the end. And it takes a lot for a book to make me actually cry. So it gets a lot of bonus points for that too. But it was really good. It was really emotional. It was really like, you know, there's, because you ask yourself a lot, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And maybe you don't, but like, if you interview for jobs, they always ask you that. And it's annoying because it's just kind of like, why can't we focus on the now? But having a 5-year plan is not a bad idea. And so basically what happens is our protagonist gets engaged, falls asleep that night, and has a, like, is it a premonition? Is it a dream? Like, what is it, where she's all of a sudden 5 years in the future and her life is so completely different than what she expected it to be? And then when things kind of start happening in her life that kind of indicate that she might be going down the road that's going to lead her to that, and she doesn't know if she wants it. And it's kind of like a, what would you do? How would this make you feel? But it's like, at the same time, it just rips your heart out. And it was so good. And then a couple honorable mentions will go to The Island by Natasha Preston and One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. And I own those, so I should pick them up. So The Island by Natasha Preston was part of my theme park thriller vlog, which is not posted. Oh, I have a whole vlog talking about my favorite theme park thrillers. And it's a very niche genre that I'm very, very obsessed with. Those are all my theme park thriller books with a little Lego attraction. It's very cute. And this is a YA novel about a bunch of teen influencers who get invited to go to the island. It probably has a name. And they are like early access. This theme park has not opened yet, but they brought these influencers in so that they could experience a park before it opens to drive hype for it. And it's one of those, it's an isolated setting. The island is only accessible by boat. And because they're running a skeleton crew for these influencers, when things go awry, shit hits the fan real fast. And there is someone stalking them and killing them in a one-by-one kind of way. And the thing about this book is that it's campy, which is what I love. Like, when I'm looking for a theme park thriller, I want it to be a campy slasher. I do not want it to take itself seriously. I don't even really need, like, real world justifications for what's going on. Like, it has to all fit, like, in universe, obviously. But, like, campy slasher, that's all I'm here for, set in a theme park. It's actually a really easy thing to make me happy about. So you'd be amazed to know how many of those books I don't like. This one, though, it hit the mark. It doesn't take itself seriously. People are getting murdered left, right, and center inside of a theme park. Nobody can trust each other. Everybody sucks. And it was fun. Was it well written? It was okay. But, like, it checked every box I needed for a theme park thriller, and I loved it. And then the other one is One Perfect Couple by Ruth Ware. And if you are a fan of Ruth Ware, you do not need any selling on this book because it is Ruth Ware, and it is fantastic. What happens is we're following a couple, Nico, who is not the main character, and yet I remember his name the most. Lila? Yes. Nico and Lila are dating, and Nico has an opportunity to be a contestant on a new reality dating show, but he has to bring his girlfriend with him. It is following a bunch of couples, and the goal is to find the perfect couple. And she doesn't really want to go. She's in a science field. I forget what she does, research of some kind. And she's like, I can't really just, like, fuck off for, like, 6+ weeks to go on a reality show with you, because, like, I have an adult job. And he's like, pretty please, this is, like, probably my last chance to make it as an actor. Like, this is really important to me. Please come, please come, please come, please come. So they do. Her research isn't going well. She doesn't think her grant is going to get renewed, if I'm remembering that correctly. And so she finally is like, okay, you win, I'll go. So they go to a very, very, very remote island off of Indonesia, if I remember correctly. And a giant tsunami comes and fucks up everything. And now they're stranded. I don't know why that was like a mic drop. It was just really good and really tense. It had me very stressed for what the outcome would be, because you're getting the chapters intermixed with like their SOS calls on the ham radio, diary entries from one of the characters, and like you don't know what's going on. You don't know who you can trust. I think I would have liked having multi-perspectives going on, or which I get why they didn't, because if you had multiple perspectives, some of the mysteries would have had to have played out differently, because we would have been in too many of their brains. And some of the things could not have been left as a quiet reveal. That's not what I wanted. They couldn't have been left as like a shocking reveal, because if we've been in their head, like you would have known. So like I get why it's one perspective, but and you couldn't have like everyone but the killer. That's not really a killer per se. It's not. I've talked too much now. I've made it weird. Anyway, this is really good, and I love it. How about that? Question maybe 3. The best sequel that you read in 2024. I'm probably going to get in a fight with someone about this. The best sequel that I have read in 2024 is The Family Experiment by John Marrs. And some of you are going to say, but Laura, that's not a sequel. That's a standalone. To which I'm going to say, you are wrong. And John Marrs is wrong. This is a sequel. Because no matter what John says, the One Universe is a series that needs to be read in order. You just do. Because, okay, you could skip the Minders. You could skip that one entirely. It doesn't matter. Like, it so far has not come up again. But every single one of these books tells you what happened in the One in a way that I think would ruin the fun of the One. And the Minders explicitly spoils the One. And I don't think you can enjoy this properly if you have not read the One, the Passengers, and the Marriage Act. Like, I think they all build. So, this is my real answer. I love this. This is my second favorite in the One universe, following the One. Where you are following 5 families who get the opportunity to raise an AI child. And at the end of the contract, they can, well, it's a competition. So whoever wins gets the opportunity to either keep their AI child, or they can like essentially cash out, I believe, for the opportunity to use that money to help have a real child. It's a reality show. It is a competition. The fans can get like way too involved. It's really weird and creepy. But you interact with this child through VR, and they have like a whole, like, I want to say haptic suit. I don't know if haptic's the right word, but like, so you're not only is your brain in the VR, but your whole body can get sensations from being in there. So raising this AI child is very immersive and very lifelike. And the way they've staged it is so that like every month the child ages a set amount of years. I think it's like, I think it's a 9-month program. And every month is a new milestone. And it was so interesting because you're talking a lot about what it means to be human, and what value does AI have versus like a real child. Just because they're AI, does that make that connection any less real? And there's a whole subplot of this reality where you could sell your child if you didn't have money. And I say this because I guess you probably could now if you were a shady and shitty person, but this is like a legal, like, hey, like, you're struggling, sell us your kid. It's really weird and disturbing and totally in line with the universe that he's making. But just like with the one, this does not feel that far from our real reality. Like, maybe not the selling children part, although like a strong maybe on that. But just the way that the VR families work is just so something I would expect from the now. So that's my answer for that. If you're going to be a stickler and say it has to be like a real number 2 sequel or like whatever, doesn't have to be number 2, I guess. I've read a lot of Sarah J. Maas this year. But aside from that, I haven't actually read a lot of sequels. I've actually read a lot of first books in a series. So I might have to say A Court of Mist and Fury. A Court of Mist and Fury, the second ACOTAR book I really loved. I mean, like Lore Olympus Volume 7 I loved, obviously. I'm enjoying the Sweet Valley graphic novel. It's like a lot of that. And the graphic novels are totally valid, but that's just not what I'm thinking of when I think of sequels. I'm thinking more traditional books, but Lore Olympus would count, and I did read that this year. Or possibly I got into the Dinosaur manga this year, and I read all 4 of those, so that also would count. Next question, because I've lost numbers, is your favorite reread? And okay, I've only reread like 3 books this year, which used to be low. It's getting unfortunately common now, but I reread True Blood, which was horrible, like in a good way. Like, it was really bad and really, really, really problematic, like way more than I thought it would be. But I really did have a good time with that. But what I have to give it to, my actual genuine, I'm not even kidding despite how much I'm laughing, my favorite reread is The Sweet Valley Twins, No Escape. When I tell you this book is my white whale, I have been looking for a copy of this book for months. Like, you cannot believe. Because everyone who is selling this is selling it for like $50 to $100, like $150. Like this. I spent $18 on this. This is not even worth $18, but I got a free book because I got it from Thrift Books, and I had a free book, so I got a free book with it. So in my head, I only paid $9 for it. But like, it's not worth that much money. Sweet Valley is not in print anymore, except for the graphic novels that they're re-releasing, or releasing for the first time, but the stories are old. This one, our twins, Jessica and Elizabeth, go on a spelunking adventure. And Elizabeth and her team get trapped in a cave, and they're like 11, and their teacher breaks his leg. They have to get them out, and like legitimately they almost die multiple times. It is so ridiculous, but like I loved this one when I was a child, and when I remembered it existed like sometime mid last year, I became obsessed with trying to find it again. Finally got it for a reasonable price. So unironically, this is my favorite reread. The genre you've been loving and or reading the most. And a shocker for me, that's fantasy. But followed closely by sci-fi. I've been reading a lot of fantasy and sci-fi this year, which are not genres I typically read like a ton of. Like, I've always enjoyed them. But I had a Sarah J. Maas moment, and I read almost everything. So it's a lot. New releases you haven't read yet, but you want to. If this is counting books I own, then it's every book on my, you can't see it. There's a built-in shelf behind, over there. Every book that I've purchased this year that I haven't read, just literally all of them. Most notably, I want to read, let me just, I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. And what else? The Garden. Actually, is that even a new release? I just got that this year. Okay, well, we're just going to say I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. We're just going to say that one. It's a very recent release, and I haven't read it yet. Big brain. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have a couple of these. Celestial Monsters by Aidan Thomas. The Sunbearer Duology 2. I am so hyped for that. I need to reread The Sunbearer. Uh, Dinosaur Sanctuary 5, which is already out in Japan, and they came out with little Masaru keychains, and I'm devastated that I don't get to have one of those. They're so cute. So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison, which I'm now wondering if that could be out. I have no idea. But maybe if it's not, maybe it'll be an aardvark because they had Rachel Harrison last year. And tentatively, I'm excited for The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. I'm excited because look how gorgeous this is, but also I'm super, super hesitant because it's Red Tower. And I feel like that speaks for itself. But like it's a beautiful edition, and it's like what is it? It's Hunger Games crossed with something. I forget what the other comp title was. But like everything about it screams this is a book for Laura. And then Stunning Edges. But Laura doesn't trust Red Tower. I've not read a book from Red Tower, but I saw the Iron Flame debacle, and almost every Red Tower book, their second runs are being printed when the beautiful ones are still on the shelves, which is telling me no one wants them. Am I gonna buy this one? Probably, just because like I have to. But it's the only Red Tower that I am buying before reading. Like, unless I love it. But I'm skeptical. Biggest disappointment. Okay, so I DNF a lot and quickly and easily. I am very quick to take a book and just throw it away. There's like 5 books on my shelf right now that I haven't finished. It's like, I'm done. I'm not reading you. So I don't have a ton of disappointments because like if I think it's going to disappoint me, I just put it away. So by that logic, anything I've DNF'd is potentially a disappointment. Chain Gang All-Stars for one. I wanted to love that. I cannot get into it. It's kind of a soft DNF because I do think I will try it again. But like, I think the writing just wasn't working for me. But of books I finished that I view as a huge disappointment, we have a couple. The first is Just Like Mother by Anne Hetzel. What the fuck was that? It was so bad. Like, it was just bad. It had a good concept, terrible execution. The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard. It did not have quotation marks, which is a huge no for me. I think I only have one other book that doesn't contain quotation marks, which is True Biz, and I haven't read it yet. But that book is about deaf culture, and I think it will make more thematic sense because I think most people have said, yes, it doesn't contain them. However, because they're signing and not speaking vocally, it wasn't as jarring to not have the quotation marks. And I know some people say that the lack of quotation marks is like an aesthetic, or it's like meant to kind of create this ambiguity between thoughts and like spoken words, which I hate that. I don't care if that's what you're going for. I don't like that. But also this book did not have like that kind of fever dream quality that why would I even want to be confused if this is a thought or not? So that alone I already hated. And then it was just really slow. And I'm kind of left wondering what the point of it was, like, honestly. Like, at the end of it, I was like, okay, but I really wanted to like it. And what's important is that The Other Valley has a plot where the valley is surrounded on both sides by an identical valley, and the valley to the east, and I don't remember which direction, but I want to say the valley to the east is 20 years in the future, valley to the west is 20 years in the past, and like, on forever. And it's like a huge deal. You cannot go into the other valleys, but like if you have you can apply to go if you have like an outstanding circumstance. Like if you're dying of cancer while your daughter is pregnant, you may be granted access to go into the future. So you can spend a few minutes viewing your grandchild from afar, but you cannot interact. That's a huge thing. You are not allowed to interact. No one can knowingly see you. Like, it's a whole thing. So we're following someone who ends up witnessing her friend's parents coming to her timeline in a way that's telling her, my friend is about to die, because why else would they be here? Because you typically show up close to their last moments as you can, which I don't even get, because like, what if you accidentally witness them dying and you can't interact? Whatever. I just didn't like it. In time travel, which is what this is, doesn't always work for me because I have too many questions that don't get answered, because the answer is time travel's weird. So it didn't work. And then the last one was a disappointment, but not because it was a bad book. And that is Fantastic Land by Mike Bachoven. That's how I'm saying it. Which is basically Lord of the Flies set inside of a theme park. And for that premise, I think it does really well. Unfortunately, I read it hoping it was going to be a theme park thriller, and it wasn't. Yes, the setting is theme park. Yes, it is a thriller / horror. But the story is told interview style. And what happens inside of this theme park is because these people are trapped there due to a hurricane. And also the fact that they descended into madness as fast as they did seems kind of, they weren't stranded. Like they were still in civilization. They just couldn't leave until the helicopters came to them. But like it was a short-term situation. Like they really descended into killing very quickly. But, and more importantly, you're not witnessing these characters in their minds in this moment. You're talking to survivors after the fact about what they experienced and what they thought. So like the vibes were different, and you weren't, and like anyone on page, you kind of already knew if they lived or died to some degree because they're telling you the story. And it just didn't work the way that I wanted it to as a theme park thriller, but like as a podcast kind of story, as a story that is a Lord of the Rings, but modern, I think it all works really well, or well enough. It just wasn't what I wanted out of the book. Biggest surprise, it has to be ACOTAR, or really any Sarah J. Maas, but I have been such an anti-Sarah J. Maas girl since I read Throne of Glass back in like 2014 and hated it, and I've been on the hate train ever since. Like, just keep that shit away from me. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want to read it. It's dumb. It's stupid. It's whatever. And then in 2024, I was like, you know what? I want to have fun. I'm tired of being a hater. So I went out and I bought the box set of ACOTAR, and then I read it all, and I loved it. I had so much fun. I don't think they're necessarily great. They're not the most well-written, but it was fun. I just had a good, fun time. And then I read Throne of Glass, which was also a surprise because I liked it more than I did the first time I read it. I like ACOTAR more. I understand and respect why people like Throne of Glass more, but I liked the romantasy better than the fantasy romance. New favorite character? Nope. Well, yes, but no. New favorite author? Either a debut or a new to me. There was no one really that I've been reading that has become like a new favorite author. So there was none of those. I am kind of like in the lookout for like a new favorite auto by author. Haven't found one yet. But an author that I read for the first time this year that I enjoyed and will continue to read is Freida McFadden. She is my popcorn girly, and we've had a lot of fun this year. I've read a lot of her books. I don't know for sure if she's going to be an instant buy for me, but I'm having a lot of fun exploring her backlog and reading a lot of her works. But again, they're popcorn. Like, they're not great. And if you like really pick them apart, they kind of fall apart, but they're fun. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for the vibes. New favorite character? I don't get super attached to the characters. It happens more with series. It still doesn't happen like all the time. And like I mentioned at the very beginning, like I'm not, like none of the books this year were like super crazy memorable, that I don't think I have a new favorite character right now. Although I am a huge fan of Nesta's arc in A Court of Silver Flames. So like if I like gun to my head, I would pick Nesta, but like I don't like just sit there and think about these characters. And that to me is the mark of a favorite character, is like when I really think about them when I'm not reading at all, or when I'm not reading their book, or like it's what draws me to want to reread books. They're not doing it. So, book that made you cry in 5 years by Rebecca Searle. There might have actually been another one, but obviously did not leave a big impression on me because I don't remember what it was. I'm kind of thinking Kristen Hanna's book might do that for me. The Great Alone, but I'm not very far. So it hasn't made me cry, but there is a chance it's going to make me cry. The most beautiful books you've bought this year is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy, which is right up there. I am gonna pick them up. I got the Waterstone editions. They're so pretty. But they've got the murder board, the podcasty ears, the broken windshield, like, and they come with the bookmarks. Wait, oh, yeah, you can actually see it. And like, they're so pretty. Although, where's the bookmark on this one? Oh, it's a black one. Black on black. That was silly. Although I guess red, white, and black. The colors of the series. And I also want to reread it. I want to reread this series too because of the show, which comes out in America in like 2 or 3 weeks. I think it's the beginning of August. So I'm excited for that too. And then, oh goodness. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? Since reading my entire unread shelf is unrealistic, I'm going to go with the remaining books on my 24 for 24, which is a video I never put out. Because I may have had one too many gummies before I made that video and was not coherent enough to post that video. Although I should get the clips through it because I read the description of The Last Murder at the End of the World and I was so, oh my God, I was so excited. Like I'd never read that description before in my life, which I had, but I couldn't remember what it was about. And I was so excited. But the video itself was not publishable, but that clip probably is. Let's air that if it's good. So the books that I have left to read on my 24 for 24, Celestial Monsters by Aiden Thomas, Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez, A Darker Shade of Magic and Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by, what is that, Benjamin Stevenson, Foxglove by Adeline Grace, and I didn't put Wisteria on there, but that's a reason. I haven't read Foxglove yet because I want to read that and Wisteria back to back. The Girl with Seven Names by, I apologize for butchering this, Hansio, I don't know, Lee. The Mermaid, the Witch, and the Sea by Maggie Takuta Hall, House of Hunger and the Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, Into the Bright Open by Sherry Demeline, Wicked by Gregory Maguire, and Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Do I think I will get to all of those? Honestly, maybe. A lot of those have been on my, like, higher up on my list of things I really want to read. And I own most of them, which is the important part of my 24 for 24 was that I wanted to clear them off my shelves. So, tentatively hopeful. Favorite video or post you have done so far this year? I haven't posted a lot. I honestly think my Throne of Glass vlog, which isn't published or edited or anything, I really feel like that one might be my favorite because I put a lot of work into the filming of it, which sounds silly because it's just like me all over my house doing nothing. But I had a fun time with it. And obviously I don't read 7 books in a vlog very often or ever. So it was just an interesting thing. So I am tentatively proud of that once I can finish that. Editing it, I've read all the books, obviously.